Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Carlene's here. James is here in studio. Happening right now, today, let me back up before I go to happening right now. So today, thousands of people are gathered in places like southern Israel to mourn the dead as the nation marked 2 years since Hamas's October 7th attack, basically plunging the region into a devastating war, while Israel and Hamas hold indirect talks in Egypt on a peace plan. And happening right now in our nation's capital, members of the House are honoring those hostages, their families, survivors, and they're announcing a new package of legislation to mark 2 years since Hamas launched that attack against Israel. And again, today marks 2 years since that. Let's take a listen in to what's being said right now.
We commit ourselves to the tireless efforts to bring every one of the 48 remaining hostages home. Over the past week, that goal feels that it has come even closer as we sit at the precipice of a potentially historic moment in the Middle East that will bring the hostages home and that will end the war. President Trump's peace plan has the backing of Arab and Muslim majority countries from the UAE and Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Qatar, Egypt, Jordan, Pakistan, Indonesia, allies like UK and France in Europe, and of course Israel too has agreed. You've heard already, I'll say it again, Israel didn't start this war, they didn't choose this. They cannot unilaterally lay down their arms. Those who truly support an end to this war need to pressure Hamas to accept this plan. They need to exert maximum pressure on Hamas so that the hostages can come home and the war can finally end.
All right, so it looks like that shot froze again. Happening right now, House members are holding that press conference commemorating the second anniversary of that attack there in the Middle East. All right, so we got the shot back. Let's take a listen in to what's being said.
The global Jewish community stands proudly and boldly together with you. We stand with Israel over Hamas, with democracy over terrorism, and we stand for life over death. Together we envision a brighter and more peaceful future for all, for Israel and for the Palestinians, for the region and for the world. And together, if we can pressure Hamas to accept this deal, and the hostages can come home, and the war can end, we can build that secure, peaceful future for everyone. Thanks.
Another phenomenal leader in the cause from the Jewish Women's International, Meredith Jacobs, and her team, who are here and have done so much to pave a way toward peace. Thank you so much, Meredith.
Thank you all. I remember October 2022. I was standing in the White House for the first ever reception for the high holidays. Itzhak Perlman, world-renowned violinist, entered the room and began to play Avinu Malkeinu, a supplication for mercy and forgiveness. I remember how almost spontaneously, with a whisper and then growing in volume and strength, our voices added to the violin, praying Avinu Malkeinu. I remember looking around the room and saying to myself, don't forget this moment. Don't take it for granted that I, as a Jewish woman, am standing in the White House, surrounded by my Jewish community, and praying Avinu Malkeinu. But here's the thing, I did take it for granted. October 2022, I was secure in my place in the world, secure in my safety and acceptance. A year later, October 2023, that sense of belonging and safety was shattered. I remember listening with horrors to the whispers of sexual atrocities committed by Hamas. I remember watching with horror the video of young Israeli girls, young IDF soldiers who were grabbed from their beds and pushed bloodied into trucks bound for Gaza. I remember seeing with horror the photo of a young woman naked and bound, surrounded by terrorists, raising guns in victory. And I remember sitting with horror in the silence of the world and in the silence of other feminist organizations. And I remember what came after the silence: the effective, malicious campaign of disinformation and denial. For my organization, Jewish Women International, and others like us who work to end violence against women and girls, we are guided by three fundamentals. Survivors are believed, victims are never blamed, and rape is never justified. And yet, when it came to Israeli women, those who were supposed to stand with us delegitimized the evidence, dehumanized Israeli bodies, and applied a double standard when responding to the rapes and mutilation of Israeli women. Delegitimization, dehumanization, double standard, the definition of anti-Semitism. Avinu Malkeinu, in the face of evil, we did not beat our breasts and pray. Instead, when the world abandoned us, we galvanized a global movement. When the world sought to silence survivors and witnesses, we amplified their voices. When the world denied the most documented atrocity in history, we lifted the truth. And when the world was silent, we said loudly and unequivocally, I believe Israeli women. Since October 7th, 2023, I have had the distinct honor as CEO of Jewish Women International and the co-founder of the I Believe Israeli Women global movement to know some of the most extraordinary Israeli women, survivors like Alana, who testify again and again in the face of hate, therapists who heal the traumatized, advocates who fight tirelessly for justice and accountability. It is their strength, their resilience that I now look. Israeli women as heroes. That moment 3 years ago, praying Avinu Malkeinu in the White House, was a lifetime ago. That sense of safety and belonging I had as a Jewish woman in the world, now childish naivete. But as I look around at this gathering, standing in the shadow of the Capitol, surrounded by Jewish leaders of our community and our country, standing with allies, this is a moment I won't take for granted. For now I know just how fragile it is. Am Yisrael Chai. Bring them home now. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for us? Jonathan?
Jonathan Salant, Jewish News Syndicate. Something a few of the speakers talked about, and that the rise in anti-Semitism, the attacks on Jews since October 7th. How do you respond now? Now you have peace soon, but how do you get back to, I guess, what I was speaking from the Jewish woman said, the proudest thing, Avinu Malkeinu in the White House, the Jewish gathering. How do you get back to that part, especially in this country, with the Jewish community?
I don't know. I don't know how we get back. Things that I would have thought were conspiracy theories on October 6th, I'm now frighteningly aware of. I think it's all the work that all of the advocates have been doing to lift the truth, to raise the humanity of Israelis and of Jews. I look to those young people who now realize how fragile their Jewishness is and who now deeply connect to it and how meaningful it is to them. And I think we build with those who stand with us and hope that the voices grow louder.
Let me say something as a non-Jew. Anti-Semitism has been around for millennia, thousands of years. Israel exists because of anti-Semitism, of course, culminating in the Holocaust. But Jews have been driven from every place in which they lived and ghettoized in almost every place they lived. How do we get rid of it? Each of us individually must stand up and speak out. My friend John Lewis, I have a picture of him in the front of my office. So if you see something that's not right, not fair, not just, you need to stand up. You need to speak up. You need to speak out. You need to take action. Anti-Semitism or any other anti-human being's individual dignity needs to be the responsibility of us all. And I would say to the young people of this country, do not fall into the trap of believing misinformation. Focus on who attacked whom, who abused whom. America responded to the Japanese at Pearl Harbor. We responded to Hitler's actions in Europe. It was a very tough war. Hundreds of thousands, indeed millions, of lives were lost. We thought, perhaps, that we may have, as mankind, learned a lesson of the costs of hate, the cost of bigotry, the cost of prejudice. I hope the young people of America take the lesson caused by hate and prejudice and bigotry that led to October 7th. By an organization said that our objective is to kill Jews and eliminate Israel. It will be the responsibility of all of us to meet this scourge, which will perhaps be first directed at someone whom we are not. But as you said, all the world will be at risk. Any other questions?
Yeah, did you invite more House members to be out here today? Would you like to see more of someone showing support for these measures?
There's been unbelievable support. Many people have co-sponsored these bills. As you probably know, the House is not formally in session today, so most members are in their districts, not here. There'd be scores more if we were in session. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. So you're asking if by the president's proposed peace plan? I mean, I think the overall objective was what I'm focused on, which is finding peace. Obviously, ensuring that the hostages are freed, including the American hostages. Doing everything we can to get aid into the region, but also to ensure that Hamas is not only lay down their arms, but is no longer in charge. And that there's a new governing body there. And so I think, and as part of that, of course, as you know, as part of that effort, Israel will pull back to the borders. I think the objectives are clear. I think Israel has accepted them. The president is behind them. Many of us are supportive of that objective. Now it's up to Hamas to actually accept the plan, and why we wait for them to actually answer. Because everyone else has said yes to move toward peace, and it's time for Hamas to answer.
Can I just quickly respond? I want to just come full. The question about where we are today Thank you very much. Just 1 second.
Sorry, we paused for station identification here.
I just want to note the parallels between where we are today and where we were 2 years ago, in a really in a way that hasn't gotten enough attention. The protests that took place almost immediately after October 7th in some cities around the country, people who were marching not to be critical of anything that Israel had done to defend itself, because Israel hadn't done anything yet to defend itself. The people who took to the streets then they took to the streets to support Hamas and what it had perpetrated against Israel. It's 2 years later, and while there are so many gatherings, somber gatherings around the country and around the world, to mark this occasion of what happened when Hamas invaded and slaughtered 1,200 people and took 250 hostages, there are also, just as there were 2 years ago, there are some marches taking place around the world of people the same people who were not interested in peace 2 years ago when they supported Hamas, and if they were serious about peace now, they would be marching to force Hamas to accept the terms of this deal. This is a moment when all of the people who claim to support peace have to be held accountable. When you bring together as many countries from around the world, including leading Arab and Muslim countries, to support a plan, then that's the plan that needs to go forward. And when it does, those remaining on the outside, those continuing to march for Hamas, will be marching only in support of terror, and the rest of us will be back in with full clarity about how we need to go forward together to make peace.
I'd just say it briefly. My view is the majority of the House on both sides of the aisle believe this is a positive step forward. And in the event, and of course Hamas has the key here, because Hamas not only has to agree